On this edition of the Mets Prospect Profiles, we take a look at the #1 ranked prospect in the New York Mets organization and one of the most highly regarded in all of baseball. Let's go. And welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watt2K99. Thank you as always for taking the time to watch these videos. If you're brand new, thank you so much for coming aboard. Please like and subscribe. If you're returning, welcome back. So today we are doing our 12th edition of the Mets Prospect Profiles. We've done 11 already. I saved the best for last. It's #1, Francisco Alvarez, the #3 ranked prospect in all of baseball, only behind Gunnar Henderson of the Orioles and Corbin Carroll of the Diamondbacks. So let's talk a little bit about FA. He is 5'10", 230 pounds. He is basically built like a tank. He's built like a refrigerator. He's just 21 years old. He turns 22 in November. Let's talk a little bit about his history and about his scouting report. So first of all, with his history, he signed with the New York Mets quite a while ago, back in July of 2018, out of Venezuela, signed for $2.7 million. And he was expected to be a very productive player for the Mets. He lived up to that early hype. He jumped right into stateside baseball, and in 2019, he played 2 rookie-level circuits. He had an OPS on-base plus slugging of .917. And this was when Alvarez was the youngest player in the league. So he played 35 games for Kingsport. He played, and of those 35 games, he played catcher for 23 of those, and he hit .282. So he was already showing very good signs that he could hold his own against older, more experienced minor leaguers. So 2020 was slated to be his first professional season of baseball. But first, there was a pandemic! And see you 2020 baseball season. So he starts 2021 down in St. Lucie, and he walloped low-A pitching. He hit .417, 2 home runs, 15 walks, just 7 strikeouts. Very quickly, he was promoted to Brooklyn. Now, at 19 years old, playing with the Cyclones, he was 4 years younger than the average player in that league. So he was a boy amongst men, but he played like a man amongst boys. He hit .247 and hit 22 home runs, a team record. If you know anything about the Cyclones and their home stadium, being that it's right on the water, it is notorious for being a pitcher's park. Very difficult to hit home runs. Alvarez set a team record. He also had 40 walks, 82 strikeouts, so the average went down a little bit, but you start to see the power emerge in 2021. So then comes 2022, this past season. He starts the year in Binghamton in AA. Again, 4 years younger than the average aged player in the Eastern League this time. So in 67 games with the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, he had 253 at-bats. How did he do? He batted .277, a .922 OPS, 18 home runs, 47 RBIs, 36 walks, and 71 strikeouts. So you see the average go up, power is still there, did very well. He got promoted to Syracuse, went up to AAA in early July, and for the first time in a while, this is where Alvarez started to struggle a little bit. So in the 45 games from July 4th until the end of August, Alvarez hit .180, 6 home runs, 24 walks, 40 strikeouts. And then he suffered a right ankle injury. He had some loose bodies in his ankle, and he was put on the injured list. He was thinking about having surgery during the season. Instead, he went with the cortisone shot so he could keep playing. And then he came back and hit very well. Hit .362 in 13 games through the end of September. Hit 3 home runs as well. And then the Mets called him up for the stretch run. They called him up on September 30th, so basically right as the season was coming to an end. He batted 2 for 14 in 12 games with a double, a home run, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. If it wasn't for the ankle injury, he probably would have played a little bit more. He did wind up having surgery postseason. So let's talk a little bit about his scouting report. So when Alvarez stands at the plate, he stands open wide. He's got the bat very high above his head, wrapped around his head. He has a kind of a little bit of a toe tap, doesn't lift his leg too much. He doesn't really need to. Just his body mass provides enough power, really. And he loads the power to his hips very, very efficiently. When he makes that contact, the ball just explodes off the bat. That power he has in his lower half is what really does it for him. The thing is, Alvarez also has very strong wrists. So even though he has the bat way behind his head, it could take a little bit longer for the bat to come around. But because he has those quick wrists, he has that wrist power as well, that allows him to get the bat through the strike zone, allows him to make more contact, and the ball jumps off the bat as a result. The best part of his game is definitely his power. On the standard scale that minor league evaluators use, grading a skill from 20 up to 80 is the high, his power ranks as a 70. That is the same ranking that Pete Alonso had when he was coming up to the major leagues. So this is very possibly a guy who's going to hit 30 home runs at least per season. Now, as far as his hitting, aside from his power, he knows the strike zone very well, which as a catcher you should. He will take his walks, but he is working on his swing decisions. We've seen that early in the exhibition games. He hasn't been very productive at the plate so far. But as he refines that ability, it's going to make him an above average hitter. So that's a little bit about his offense. Now I want to talk about the defense. Behind the plate, he has all of the tools to be a decent defender. I wouldn't say a great defender, but a decent defender. The question is, will he put everything together? Now, he has pure arm strength, and he has good accuracy, that's enough to give himself a good weapon. It's one advantage he has over Kevin Parada in terms of who is going to be this organization's long-term major league catcher. And he also moves quite well behind the plate, considering somebody who's as stocky as he is. Now, we'll see how well he maintains his weight. You know, he has to keep that in balance because he has to stay light on his feet, especially as the stolen base is coming more and more back into baseball with the wider bases and the reduced number of pickoff moves that are allowed. Now, in addition to that, it's not just his physical abilities. His mental skills are what are really putting him over the edge. His attitude, his makeup, his presence has earned universal praise from scouts, teammates, coaches, evaluators. He's tough as nails. He forces his way into the lineup every day despite all of the rigors you go through as a catcher. And another thing I like, the pitchers rave about his work. Pitchers like to work with him. Some of the best catchers, some of the best hitting catchers in history, you know, the pitchers didn't always like working with them. Sometimes those catchers were a little bit more focused on their hitting, but they really enjoy working with Francisco Alvarez, which is really, really cool. So, what does Alvarez have in store for his 2023 season? Well, he's still only 21 years old. He's got a major league ready bat. If he continues to refine his work behind the plate, I think he's going to work his way up to the major leagues. The approach that the New York Mets are taking with him right now is they want him to play every day, but they want him to play defense every day. And with the Mets having Thomas Nido and Omar Narvaez, they can afford to wait. They don't have to rush him into the majors. Now, I know the Atlanta Braves, on the other hand, brought up Michael Harris and Spencer Strider immediately. It worked well for them, but it's different when you're a catcher. Okay, so I like the idea of starting him in Syracuse, allowing him to play every day, and when his defense comes along well enough, then you can promote him and you can catch him several days a week. I think he's going to spend, the second half of the season with the Mets, but I just don't want him coming up and being the everyday DH. To me, it doesn't make much sense to do that. It's going to be about his defense. But I think Francisco Alvarez will spend an ample amount of time with the New York Mets in the 2023 season and for many more seasons after that. Well, those are my thoughts on the #1 ranked prospect, Francisco Alvarez. I'm going to be adding this video to the Mets Prospect Profiles playlist. So if you missed any of the videos, I've got 12 in the queue. Feel free to go back and watch any of them that you haven't yet. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. I'll see you back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair.